I once believed marriage built fortresses around hearts. Fidelity, laughter, Sunday mornings with sunlight filtering through curtains, those little rituals shaped my certainty that love remained unshakable. Yet certainty began eroding quietly, like waves gnawing cliffs, long before I noticed her changing eyes. My wife, Ilara, carried grace wherever she stepped. Early years together felt like music, soft harmonies guiding our movement. I would return home exhausted from meetings, schedules, endless phone calls, and she would greet me with warmth so powerful I could almost taste it in the air. That warmth altered gradually. Smiles shortened, touches cooled, and when I leaned close, her body leaned away. I pretended nothing shifted. Pretending felt safer than facing storms I feared. Still, certain evenings forced recognition. She dressed differently. Daring fabrics, shorter hemlines, colors chosen not for comfort but for attraction. Perfume clung to hallways hours after she left, fragrances I had never purchased. When I asked about them, she brushed questions aside, claiming curiosity, claiming she wanted to feel alive. Alive. That word struck harder than arguments could. Wasn't she alive with me? One evening, while sitting beside her, I noticed her phone screen glow. A message appeared, name hidden, but sentences heavy with suggestion. Tomorrow night will be unforgettable. I'll wait. She slid her thumb across glass quickly, locking it, smiling faintly, though not at me. I carried that sight into restless sleep, dreams restless with shadows. Days stretched longer after that. I examined her gestures with an intensity one hated. The way she touched her neck absent-mindedly, how her laughter gained a note of excitement whenever she checked her device, the sudden secrecy surrounding her routine, all became threads weaving dread through me. At work, I pictured her in conversations I couldn't hear. At home, I imagined invisible hands brushing her skin. What made betrayal unbearable wasn't the act itself but the anticipation. My chest carried weight heavier than stone because I did not yet know. Certainty hurts, but uncertainty kills slowly. I tried rekindling closeness. I suggested dinners, small trips, weekend escape. She agreed politely, but while sitting across candlelight, her eyes wandered. It felt as though I were competing with someone already inside her heart. Silence grew between us, filled not with peace but with suspicion. One night, while lying awake beside her, I whispered, "Do you still love me?" She shifted, sighed, and said, "Of course," before turning away. Her voice lacked conviction, her body moved farther across sheets. That gulf separating us felt endless. I began wondering what love transforms into when desire seeks elsewhere. Perhaps loyalty becomes a mask, intimacy an act, kisses illusions crafted for appearances. Perhaps I already lived inside that illusion, and only I refused to remove the mask. Something in me hardened then. I realized I needed truth, no matter how cruel, no matter how it burned. And I vowed silently, I would find it. Days became a game of watching, decoding, pretending I still lived inside the same marriage. Yet beneath every ordinary conversation, I sensed invisible language flowing between her and someone unseen. Words didn't matter anymore. Pauses mattered, silences mattered, the way she breathed when her phone vibrated mattered. I noticed how she guarded her screen as though it contained sacred scripture. Whenever I entered a room, she angled it away, her thumb moving with swift determination. Notifications arrived late at night, her lips curving in half-smiles that were never meant for me. I tried laughing, joking about her, mystery admirer, but the laughter fell brittle, shattering before it touched her. She would brush it off, just friends from work. But no friendship ever made eyes shine with that kind of fever. Her wardrobe changed next. Once she favored soft cotton, pale colors, comfortable fabrics that matched her gentle demeanor. Now she selected bold shades, reds and blacks that clung to her figure. She spent longer before the mirror, applying gloss, adjusting her neckline, twirling strands of hair until they lay in deliberate waves. When I asked about it, she said, "A woman should feel beautiful." Yet I couldn't escape the ache that whispered, She was not dressing for me. Patterns emerged. She claimed late meetings, but her office lights, visible from the street where I sometimes drove, were dark. She returned smelling faintly of cologne not my own, musky and intoxicating. I inhaled it, hating myself for recognizing another man's presence woven into her skin. She avoided my gaze when I questioned her lateness, speaking quickly, changing subjects, asking about my work instead. Deflection became her shield, and I stood powerless before it. One evening, she prepared for another meeting. I lingered in the hallway, watching her fasten earrings that glittered like small flames. Her dress shimmered against her curves. My chest tightened as I realized she radiated anticipation, not anxiety. I asked softly, "Who are you meeting?" She paused, eyes flickering briefly toward mine. Then she said, "Colleagues?" The word fell lifeless, while her pulse beat visibly along her neck, betraying excitement she couldn't mask. I followed her that night. Not closely, only enough to keep her car within sight. She drove beyond the business district, past restaurants, into dimmer street. She stopped outside a small lounge, entered quickly. Through the window I saw her silhouette merge with another figure, tall, confident. They leaned close, touching arms, moving together as though rehearsed. My throat dried, my stomach twisted, yet I forced myself to remain still. That glimpse confirmed what I had feared. She lived two lives, one with me, one with him. Returning home before her, I sat in darkness, hands trembling, mind replaying every memory of us. Wedding vows, shared secrets, laughter in the kitchen, all now tainted by that image of her leaning toward someone else. Yet I couldn't confront her. Not yet. A strange pull held me back, part dread, part fascination. I needed to know more, to witness truth unfiltered, to see the shape of this forbidden fire consuming her. Only then would I decide what remained of me, of us. Suspicion corrodes slowly, but discovery crashes suddenly, like glass shattering on stone. That night began with ordinary excuses. Her saying she had another meeting, her voice breezy yet brittle, her eyes refusing to linger on mine. I let her leave, pretending indifference, though my chest thundered with questions. Minutes after she drove away, I followed again, heart hammering, hands gripping the wheel as though I were clinging to the last fragments of sanity. The city streets glowed with neon haze. Rain had just passed, leaving pavements slick, mirrors of trembling light. I tracked her car toward a downtown hotel, discreet yet polished, its lobby crowded with strangers whose lives intersected briefly before vanishing. She parked near the side entrance, slipped inside swiftly, glancing over her shoulder once. I waited before following, fear and fury colliding in me. Entering the lobby, I scanned every corner until I spotted her. She stood near a man, taller, broad-shouldered, with an easy arrogance in his posture. His hand brushed her lower back in a gesture both protective and possessive. She tilted her head toward him, smiling the way she hadn't smiled at me in months, eyes bright, lips parted, expression alive. They disappeared down a hallway, moving with purpose. My breath caught. I trailed carefully, staying far enough to remain unnoticed. They entered a lounge, dimly lit, its atmosphere thick with music and murmurs. Yet they didn't linger there long. After only a few drinks, a few whispered words, I saw them slip away again, this time toward a quieter corridor. Following them became an act of torment. Every step deepened my wound, yet I couldn't stop. Finally, I saw them push through the door of the men's room, her hand pulling his, her laughter echoing faintly before silence consumed the hall. My blood turned to fire. That door might as well have been a gate into some forbidden world where I no longer existed. I froze outside, body trembling, heart battling between bursting inside and collapsing in despair. Sounds drifted faintly through walls, low murmurs, stifled breaths, rustling fabric. My imagination painted pictures crueler than any reality could be. My wife, the woman who once whispered love beneath soft blankets, now surrendered herself behind that door to another man's hunger. Seconds stretched into eternities. Rage surged, begging me to storm in, to tear down that lie, to reclaim dignity. Yet another part of me, darker, compelled me to wait, to listen, to absorb every shard of betrayal until I understood its entirety. The hallway smelled faintly of cologne and disinfectant, yet beneath it, I swore I could sense the heat of their closeness, the charged electricity leaking through the cracks. I leaned against cold tiles, fists clenched, ears straining, mind unraveling. I had become an unwilling voyeur of my own life's collapse. My marriage, my trust, my very identity unraveled within that men's room, while I stood powerless, pinned between desire to confront and terror of the truth I would witness inside. The door opened briefly, a stranger exiting, and for a fleeting instant I caught sight of them reflected in the mirror above the sinks. The glimpse cut sharper than any blade. She leaned into him, her lips parted, her hands tangled in his shirt as though she had discovered oxygen after drowning. He bent toward her, mouth claiming hers with intensity that left no room for doubt. The woman I once called mine dissolved into another man's arms with hunger so raw it made me stagger backward. I pressed against the wall, blood pounding my temples. Every heartbeat whispered betrayal, every inhale dragged fire through my lungs. Yet my eyes refused to turn away when the door swung slightly again. I saw him cradle her waist, fingers roaming with authority. Her head tilted back, releasing a quiet sound I had once thought belonged only to me. Watching her abandon herself shattered illusions I had clung to, but alongside devastation rose something darker: fascination. Jealousy, fury, lust, despair, emotions collided violently inside me. I hated him, envied him, despised her, adored her, all within the same breath. My fists itched to crash through the door, to rip them apart, yet my legs remained frozen, betraying me with weakness disguised as restraint. Every fragment of sound leaking into the hallway deepened my torment. Muffled laughter, hurried whispers, the scrape of leather shoes against tile, it painted a vivid portrait in my imagination. My heart raced not only with rage but with undeniable arousal twisted with pain. That contradiction sickened me, yet it chained me there, forcing me to absorb each detail. I remembered our early days, her laughter while cooking, her whispered promises at night. Those memories collided violently with the present vision. Her surrender to another man inside a place meant for anonymity. Desire had become betrayal, intimacy had become performance. And I was the unwilling audience. For a moment I closed my eyes, gripping the wall for balance. Darkness behind my lids did nothing to save me. I still saw her, her hair falling, her lips trembling, her body yielding. I opened my eyes again, breath unsteady, and swore I would never forget the images burned into me. The longer I remained there, the more unbearable the storm grew. My rage screamed for action, demanding confrontation, demanding I reclaim respect. Yet some part of me, cowardly, curious, wanted to watch until the very end, to know the full extent of her betrayal, to etch it permanently into memory so there could never again be denial. My reflection in the stainless steel hand dryer caught my eye, hollow, furious, ashamed. I looked like a man stripped of pride, standing outside a locked door, listening to his world collapse. Still, I could not walk away. Not yet. I inhaled sharply, steadied my trembling hands, and knew a decision loomed. Either I would storm through that door and unleash everything inside me, or I would remain a ghost outside, watching lust destroy the life I thought was mine. I could not stand in that hallway any longer. The weight of silence pressed down harder than sound ever could, and my body moved before thought could stop it. My hand slammed against the men's room door, shoving it open with a force that startled both of them. They froze in mid-motion, her back against the tiled wall, his hand still gripping her waist, her lips swollen from kisses. For an instant time fractured, every heartbeat stretching, every detail burning into me. The dim fluorescent lights reflected off the mirror, multiplying the scene, showing me betrayal from every angle. Ilara's eyes widened, mouth parting in a gasp that failed to shape words. Shock painted her face, but not only shock. There was fear, guilt, maybe even defiance. The man, taller, broader, stared at me with calm arrogance, as if daring me to claim what was mine. His hand slipped from her waist slowly, deliberately, like a predator measuring distance before striking again. "Continue," I said hoarsely, voice raw from holding rage too long. My words echoed harshly off the tiles. Neither moved. The silence thickened, suffocating. My fists trembled at my sides. "Do you think I don't see? Do you think I don't know?" Her voice finally broke through, fragile. I can explain. Explain." My laugh came bitter, jagged. "Explain how you hide messages, slip away at night, wear perfumes I never gave you? Explain how my wife disappears into men's rooms with strangers." Her body flinched as though each word struck physically. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but they did not fall. Instead, she reached out, almost pleading. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Never wanted?" My voice cracked. "Then what do you call this?" I gestured wildly at the scene still lingering in air, invisible but undeniable. The man finally spoke, his tone steady, condescending. "She deserves more than suspicion and routine. She wanted passion. She found it." His words carved into me deeper than knife. I lunged forward, gripping his shirt collar, slamming him against the sink. My fury exploded, years of trust disintegrating in a single violent motion. He didn't resist, only smirked faintly, as if enjoying the chaos he had sparked. "Stop!" Elara cried, pulling at my arm, her voice breaking. "Please don't." I looked at her then, really looked, and what I saw destroyed me. Not just guilt but longing for him. Even in her desperation, her eyes darted toward him, as though fearing for his safety more than mine. That glance told me everything I needed to know. I released him, stumbling backward, breath ragged. My chest burned as though fire consumed me from within. She moved toward me, tears finally falling, but I raised my hand, stopping her before she could speak again. "There are no words left," I whispered. "Not tonight." The room spun with betrayal, with the echo of what I had witnessed. I turned, walked out, leaving them standing together in the wreckage of what once was my life. I walked into the night, air sharp against my lungs, city lights blurring through the wetness in my eyes. My body trembled not from cold but from the hurricane still tearing through me. The door closed behind, yet echoes followed, her gasp, his smirk, the silence that had spoken louder than words. Betrayal has no volume, no shape, but it lingers heavier than any weight. Every step down that hotel corridor felt unreal, as though I moved inside a dream I could not wake from. Strangers passed me, smiling, laughing, carrying their small joys, unaware that my world had just collapsed in a tiled room smelling of disinfectant and lust. I envied their ignorance. I reached the street and leaned against a lamppost, my reflection shimmering in a rain puddle. Hollow eyes, clenched jaw, a man dismantled. I thought of our wedding day, sunlight warming her veil, her trembling hands holding mine, the vows we whispered as though nothing could ever undo them. That memory stabbed cruelly, mocking me with its purity. Where had that woman gone? Or had I only imagined her, blind to the truth she carried all along? Driving home, silence pressed so heavily inside the car that I turned the radio on, only to switch it off again. Music felt unbearable. Words, melodies, everything reminded me of her. The steering wheel creaked beneath my grip, knuckles white, veins swollen with fury that no longer had a target. Back inside our house, the walls felt unfamiliar, hostile. Photographs lined the shelves, her smile against my shoulder, vacations, anniversaries, milestones. Each picture looked like a lie now, images of strangers pretending. I swept them to the floor, frames shattering, glass scattering across the carpet like fragments of the life I no longer recognized. I sat in the dark living room, head in my hands, waiting. Eventually, I heard her key turn in the lock. She entered cautiously, eyes red, face pale. For a moment she hesitated, as though the threshold itself condemned her. Then she whispered, I'm sorry. 2 words. Fragile, useless, insulting. Sorry could not erase his touch on her skin, her laughter in his ear, her glance toward him even as I raged. Sorry could not restore the man I had been before tonight. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My silence stretched, heavy, impenetrable. She wept quietly, the sound echoing against broken glass. But my heart remained stone. I realized then that betrayal does not simply end love, it transforms it. What I felt now was not absence of feeling but its mutation. Devotion turned into resentment, longing twisted into disgust, desire poisoned into rage. Yet beneath all that, strangely, there still lingered an ember of need, a cruel hunger for what she had given so freely to another. That contradiction would haunt me forever. As dawn began to creep across the sky, I knew one truth. Nothing would ever return to what it was. Trust had died inside that men's room. And though I remained breathing, alive in the body, the man who once believed in her had been buried there, never to rise again.